Okay. Hello, good evening, happy Sunday. If you don't know me, my name is Liku Amadi, founder and attorney of Anasa Law Firm, where I work with online coaches, consultants, and strategists to help them establish a solid legal foundation for business. Now, a huge part of that is contracts, and particularly clients' contracts, which we'll be talking about today as it pertains to refund policies. I am hosting the first ever contracts work session on December 15th for 25 online business owners to literally come through and assess the red flags and must-haves in their client contracts. I will literally be walking through a strategic assessment so that attendees can do a proper review and see what red flags they have in their contracts, what they're doing right, how those red flags are impacting them. So you're coming in with the contract that you've been using and you're not certain, what it's really doing in your business, how it's hurting or helping you, if it's hurting or helping you. And you're literally leaving after the 2-hour contract work session. You're leaving having a lot more clarity as to what's going on, what's wrong, what's right. So that is December 15th, contracts work session. And of course, we're going to be talking about refund policies because we're in business to get paid. And, refunds are an interesting thing to deal with in business as a business owner. I've dealt with them. A lot of my clients have dealt with them. And when I'm drafting contracts, I often just see no refunds. And we're always having to revamp, revise, and strategize on client policies, but especially refund policies. So I'll be touching on 3 reasons why just a blanket no refunds policy is not going to cut it. Before that, I'm going to do what I always tell y'all to do, which is use a disclaimer. Again, I am a licensed attorney. However, this is not legal advice. This is legal information for educational purposes only. If you need legal advice, you need to contact an attorney and get that advice particular to you. If you're watching this live, go ahead and comment live. If you're watching this via replay later on, go ahead and comment replay. And if you have questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat or the comments, depending on what platform you're on. Okay. 3 reasons. Let's get into it. So the first reason a no refunds policy is not going to work for you is because it's not realistic, right? It would be amazing to just say, you know what, you signed up for this, you paid for this, you don't get your money back, right? That sounds really simple, but in reality, that type of policy is not realistic because it does not account for the variety of situations that can come up that lead people to asking for a refund, right? It could be business related. Maybe business is slow. You're shutting down the business. A lot of people had to do that during COVID. Let's say you're making a business pivot. Maybe you don't need those specific services anymore, right? It could be anything business related. It could also be, on a personal aspect. Maybe someone is sick or there's a dire financial situation which causes you to ask for a refund because you need the money, right? It could be a number of reasons. And a no refunds policy just does not help you resolve an issue when some random situation comes up and someone asks for a refund. It just doesn't account for the reality of doing business, which is anything could happen at any time, which is usually what prompts people to ask for a refund in the first place. Reason number 2 is a no refunds policy it's too general. It's too blanket. And that is related to the first reason, right? That it doesn't account for the variety of situations that go on. So something that's too general or too blanket will do you more harm than good. And I say this all the time when I'm talking about contract templates, right? If you're using a contract template, something that is generalized and just blanket for everyone else in your industry or everyone else doing the type of business that you're doing, then it's going to do you more harm than good because it doesn't account for your business's specific services, how you deliver those services, your policies, how you work with your clients, your goals, your marketing strategy, etc. All of that, right? A blanket contract does not capture any of that. So it's going to do you more harm than good to use that blanket contract, that contract template. So same thing here. When you have a no refunds policy that is just blanket, straight up, no refunds, one that doesn't account for the variety of situations that may come up, you're going to cripple yourself, right? And eventually that policy is going to do you more harm than good because it doesn't give you the flexibility to be able to deal with those variety, right? The variety of situations that may come up that lead people to ask or demand a refund. Um, so again, number one, it's just not a realistic policy because it does not account for the variety of situations. And then number two, it's too blanket and too general, which leaves you inflexible to be able to bring a solution afoot where even if it is no refunds, like both of you can be happy, right? And then reason number three, it's not fair. A no refunds policy is often not fair. And like I said, when I'm working with clients, this is a policy that we often have to revamp because it's not based on anything. When we're I hate talking about going to court, but when we're talking about like, the judicial system, and if you're getting sued, which is something that we're trying to avoid, then, this is one of those things. They're going to measure whether your policy was fair, right? They're going to say, what is this based on? What do you mean you ask someone to invest $10,000 in your service and you're not going to give them a refund, right? What is this based on? Is it just based on your feelings, which it usually is, right? That you got paid, you don't want to give the money back. Maybe the money's already spent in your business and you don't have it to give back, right? It could be a number of things, but it's usually not grounded in something concrete, like how much time did you spend on it, if any, right? What are the resources that you've put into it? How far are you in like the timeline or the phases of the different projects that you have to do? Have there been any deliverables, any calls? Like what's the value that's been provided thus far, right? So if you have a no refunds policy, again, it's usually rooted in just like, I don't want to give that person the money back. They already gave it to me. Nobody wants to return money, but it has to be justified in something concrete. It has to be measured. You're not just going to not give the money back and not have a justification for it, right? So again, your no refunds policy, a simple, just, 2 words, it's not going to work 9.5 times out of 10 because it does not account for reality, which means that number one, a lot of situations can happen which prompt people to ask for a refund. Number two is too general, is too blanket, which cripples you from being able to find a flexible solution. And then number three, it's not based in fairness. It's often not based in fairness, which means that there's no justification to measure the fact that you get to keep X amount of dollars, right? So a good refund policy versus a bad refund policy is something that we're going to be going over in the contracts work session on December 15th. And I will be talking more about how a bad refund policy, just like this one, no refunds, is one that is too blanket and one that cripples you from being able to find a solution, right? From being able to resolve an issue. And that's another thing that should be in your contract is a dispute resolution clause. Because you as a business owner, it is your responsibility to give your client the contract so that they can work on your terms, right? You can build a relationship based on your terms. But if you give them a contract with terms that say no refund, terms that cripple you from being able to find a creative solution where both of you can walk away happy, then it's going to turn into, number one, that client they're still going to ask for a refund. It doesn't matter if the contract says no refund. Like, tell me, if you're investing several $1,000s into a service and your contract says no refund, you're still going to try to ask for one, right? So that's number one. Number two, if you have this brick wall of a policy that doesn't really allow you to do business, then that person is going to go around to the credit card company and initiate a chargeback, and they're still going to try to get their money back, right? Instead of doing that, you have a thorough, good, and adequate refund policy that allows you to contain that situation. Because with the no refunds policy, you're setting a low ceiling, right? Versus, again, having the flexibility to open up options for resolution. Because just because someone asks for a refund doesn't always mean that they've had a bad experience, but it can turn into a bad experience if you're not set up to be flexible so that client and you, your business, can walk away in a win-win situation, right? So again, the three reasons your no refund policy probably won't work is number one, it does not account for reality and just the variety of reasons that may come up prompting someone to ask for a refund. Number two, it's just too general, too blanket, which again leaves you inflexible to deal with the variety of situations that may come up. And then number three, it's not based on any type of fairness, right? There's no justification. It's just no refunds means no refunds. And so those are the three reasons. We will be getting into what a good refund policy, a thorough refund policy looks like on December 15th in contracts work session. Again, you will have the opportunity to literally pull up your contract and make sure you have these, or you don't have, red flags and the must-haves that I'll be talking about while I go through my strategic contract assessment. Come in with your contract looking all iffy, not knowing what's going on, and literally leave with the clarity that you need to figure out if your client contract is helping or hurting you. That is my gift to y'all this holiday season. So if you'd like to register, I'm going to drop the link in the comments, link in bio, link on my website. December 15th, contracts work session. The investment is $300, which is a no-brainer for you to get clarity on the most important document in your business, the document that allows you to collect the money from your clients and for you to deliver that service. December 15th, there's only 25 spots, and I hope to see you there. If you have questions, drop them in the comments, and I will be there to answer, or send me a DM. With that being said, dinner is cooking, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that. And y'all have a wonderful evening.